Hey guys, welcome back to Ken's Cinema Sofa. If it's your first time here, I'm your brother Ken, a missionary of 15 years here in Japan. But this channel is all about exploring my other passion, awesome cinema and TV. I am so excited. I'm honored to enter back into the world of Shogun. I feel like for a first episode, a lot happened and it was extremely transporting. Sometimes in other TV shows, it takes a couple of episodes to really draw you in. But this first episode last week, Anjin, which means pilot, was like a whirlpool, just sucked me into this world, you know? And how did they do that? I think, you know, it reminds me of one of my favorite directors, Robert Eggers. I guess I'm thinking about him because he has his new movie, Nosferatu, coming out this month. But he will go as far as to get the intonation of a particular dialect of a particular language down just to make you feel like I'm not in the 21st century in a movie theater right now. That is awesome. And I love that kind of extra effort and world building, you know, because, you know, I think it's akin to when people do movies about ancient Egypt and things like that, or ancient Rome, and they make everything look stone colored, like sand colored, and they don't even realize, if they had done their research, that that's the way it looks now. But in ancient Egypt, there was tons of color, and the pyramids themselves were not that sandy brown rust color, but they were covered in a clean, clear sheer of whatever type of material they used. And many Roman emperors' statues were not white and marble, they were colored as well, but it faded with time, you know. So I have not seen a movie that's shown all of that yet, not quite. But I love that filmmakers like Eggers take you beyond what you read in your you know, school history book or at the museum. They hire experts, and that's what Shogun has done. Because even as I was watching it, the first episode, I realized right away, okay, Japanese people do not speak like this anymore. If you don't know Japanese and you're watching it, you can still enjoy it. But when you do know Japanese, I'm not fluent, but I'm not a beginner either. You just appreciate more the effort that they went to get people to just kind of feel like you're falling, you know, down Alice's, was it rabbit hole? Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know. And that is a valid thing for me to say, because some of my audience is from Japan, some of my English students and, you know, art students. But so yeah, I'm just loving this, and I want to see how far the rabbit hole goes, you know, with authenticity with this show. So without further ado, let's get to it. This is Shogun episode 2, Servant of Two Masters. A quote of Jesus: no person can serve two masters, either you will hate the one or love the other. So I'm just thinking that that has something to do with the dual, you know, culture of the Japanese Christian, right? They are serving God, Christianity, and what they've grown up with, their ethnic core, which is really important in Japan, you know, especially in a country. I mean, you could say every country is important, but when you have a country like Japan, in whose history has been mostly isolation from other countries and outside influence, they have a very unique culture that's kind of grown up on its own, for better or worse, okay? And the Christian walk in what Christ expects at times can clash with Japanese culture, especially in these medieval times. I mean, they had to commit seppuku. Let's do it. TVMA. They weren't joking. Classic samurai armor. Osaka 1 year ago. It's a young son. Okay. Don't be afraid.
ローズではどのようにして父上を見に生きればよいのですか？
人の世は妙なものよの。夢の中で見る夢のようなもの。
太閤様はお一人になりたいと仰せでございます。
So she must be a concubine.
席を受けになれば神の国へ参れません。
国とやらは幸の尻の奥にあるよ。
Whoa. Whoa.
虎長殿、これ
I believe those chants are Buddhist funerary chants.
落ち葉はお主の側室になっていても不思議はなかった。
それがし、美人にはとんと触手が動きません。
Really? Beautiful woman, Bijin.
二人で
That night we had too much sake.
わしが言うたことを覚えておるか。
こちらは同じ壺にクソを垂れてきたのじゃ。今から互いの足に小便をかけてどうする
Is that an old Kanyok idiom? Japanese idiom? Or kotowaza?
さすれば日の本はお主にくれてやったものを。
いずれ八重長様から配慮することにいたしましょう。
周りはうごめ高の目の連中ばかりじゃ。
Yeah, I get that feeling too.
八重長を守ってくれるのならわしから命ずることもできるぞ。
さすれば敵方に結束を固める理由を与えることになりましょうな。
誠の将軍と呼べる者がいなくなって今手がかりなのは日の本が再び。
Sengoku, Warring States period. Everyone was fighting each other.
八重千代が元服するまで権勢を分かち合うことになる。八重千代を敵からも仲間からも守ってやってくれ。そして教えてやってくれ。一番肝心なことを。国の頂に立つ者は誰より孤独なのだと。
Oh, they got an opening now. Oh, that's interesting. That's beautiful. The Zen kind of garden, sand garden, raking. Oh, that's an interesting concept. Wow. I see a lot of producers are Japanese. Yeah. Now that's interesting that you have the core of Buddhism, which the idea of escaping this cycle of death and war and passion and destruction, and then the shogun coming out of that and carrying it with it fire and destruction and burning up those spirals of raked sand. Because that is what it would do. That's what he's afraid of that, of bringing the shogunate back.
Little short, dirty, diseased, and he's got a filthy mouth. He's like a back passage hole of a 15th rank. Know what I mean?
You're not so different.
Sacked, slaughtered, and pillaged his way through Manila. A real piece of work, that one. Brutal shot.
Ooh, Manila, Philippines.
He will be angered for piracy.
I'm afraid it may not be so simple. Despite the discord in Osaka, Toranaga is still president of foreign relations.
Love the period costume, man.
I'll thank you to leave now.
Can't even finish his meal?
These are critical times for the mission. You will see to it this man is not a problem.
Oh, man.
自分の中には人を食うものがおると虎長が言うとった。
私にもわかりませんわ限り。とはいえ念のため、あまり近づかぬよう用心いたしましょう。
Okay, calm down. Don't snap at him.
レイディマリアのご同席はいつでも歓迎いたします。
I'm sensing something there. Did he have a thing for her?
My name
Oh,
is Martin Albitu, of the Society of Jesus. You must be the Anji.
What does that mean?
Jesuits.
It means pilot. You're in the court of Lord Yoshii Toranaga. And I am the interpreter to the Council of Regents.
Oh, good, so you'll be able to twist my words in your Portuguese favor.
アンジン様が私の通訳では信用できないと申しております。私がポルトガル人なので I may be your enemy, John Blackthorne of the Erasmus, but I am not your assassin. That you will do yourself.
パードル様のおっしゃる通りでございまする。
He wants to know why we are enemies.
Because our countries are at war.
何故お前の
Tell
国
me.
は数字の王国と戦っておるのじゃ。
Why are you at war with my kingdom?
Because England refuses to be intimidated by Catholics.
お前はカトリックではない。
There are two Christian religions, Protestant and Catholic.
いずれもデウスが神だと信じておるのか。
Yes. But I won't know for sure till I'm dead.
I like how they're doing this. They're cutting out the translator. This is going straight between these two. I really like this.
I cannot conceive of being an enemy to you, Lord.
わしにはたやすく思い描けるぞ。
That's reflected in how he's speaking to him. He said, "Omaewa, you," but that Omaewa is kind of like a, I see you as lower than me or rude. What then?
This is Lord General Ishido, Toranaga's chief rival. If you value your life, do not say a word.
I like that the translator has some honesty about him.
なるほど。醜い。犬ごときの面相じゃ。西の化け物とでも目打って。
The freak. He said, "Bakemono monster," basically.
キリシタンどもはこの男を異端と呼んでるそうじゃが、まことか。
はい、石堂様。
その方らの宗派にとって、その男は目の上の炭鉱部というわけよ。
その異端者、それがしには何の値打ちもござらん。
揉め事の元にならなければよいのじゃ。
Is that Honen Tatemae again I talked about before, right? What you really mean and what you show your enemy or others.
I do not know, Anjin, but I will pray for your soul. What are you doing, you bastard?
Obviously, he does not want him to go there, but he has to do that because of this other lord. I like that this show is really depicting Japanese culture and communication in this way. Of course, today it's a little different, right? It's not as pronounced as this, but it's still culturally different from a Western society, right? You would have a lot more direct arguing between political leaders in America or England compared to Japan.
誠に青いのでございますか、その男の目は。髪の毛はこの大根のような色でございまするか。
No.
このごぼうの方が近いかもしれませんな。
Burdock root, gobo. We don't have that in America.
ごぼうがどうしたんだ。
今日、虎長様が母上をお呼びになり、偉人に会わせたのでございます。
She is married.
ポルトガル語を修行せよと。
何故殿はお前にそのようなことを望まれるのじゃ。何故お前の母はおとなしく家に収まっておれんのじゃ。
父上。
虎長様がまたぞろをお呼びじゃ。お主ではない。
マリコ様、そなたはいつお目にかかってもお若くお美しゅうございまする。
キリ様こそ聡明で情に深く天真爛漫で虎長様のご寵愛をお受けになられておりまする。野の御子を身ごもられた静様もご同様。
わしの通詞に構うでない、キリ。
キリの方とお呼びくださりませ。年老いておりますれば、私も今も殿には手が焼けまする。
お前の大きな尻と同じじゃ。
や。
Oh.
この子に及んでは髪を下ろして天にでもなるほかござりませぬ。
That's interesting that she said shave the head. Any monks and nuns, Buddhist monks, Buddhist nuns do that. But also shaving the head in Japan is a sign of shame, that you've done something wrong, especially socially. And that reminds me of the famous video of the AKB, I don't know if you know it, AKB 27, AKB 28. Anyway, popular Japanese pop girls group here in Japan, and they're not supposed to have boyfriends. They do, but they're not supposed to show it because it would let down their fans, and that would possibly affect sales of their production company. So when it came out that she did have a boyfriend, There's a famous video of her apologizing in tears and with a shaved head. And you know, the first several years of my life here in Japan, you know, being a black guy, I had my head, you know, shaved, or what they considered shaved. To me, it was just a close fade cut, you know. And people would keep acting like I did something wrong and asking me what I did. It was crazy. It was crazy. The judgment on today.
パードレ様は正直なお方にございまする。
He is right. That was smart.
あの偉人の方は
あの者には用心せねばという気がいたしまする。試されて揺らぐような信仰はまことなものとは申せません。
今朝江戸でわしの孫が生まれ
Grandchild,
お父の
wow.
方は大坂へ戻りたいと言ってきた。
それゆえ我ら一同大老衆からの切腹の沙汰を待つ身となった次第。
しかし患者によればポルトガル人らはあの偉人を目の敵にしておるようじゃ。間もなくキリシタンの大老木山と王を通じてあの偉人を大坂に置くことに抗議してくるであろう。
殿に断罪が下されるのは残りの大老が結束して票を投じた場合のみにござりまする。殿はあの偉人を用いて一同とキリシタンの大老との結束に日々を入れるおつもりかと。
Oh, I know that actor.
The senor is real.
The Mask of Zorro. No, what am I thinking? No, Desperado.
Your savior, children of my flock, persecuted for their faith. His religion. You should let me give you absolution.
Are these men all marked for death?
Death is the only punishment here.
Father, there has been a mistake. I am a guest of the Lord Toranaga. I'm not meant to be here.
Toranaga brought you to Osaka. You are a child in the wilderness. You don't know their games. Toranaga is a prisoner in Osaka Castle, isolated by his rivals on the Council of Regents. All of them are in the palm of Ishido, caretaker of the castle.
Okay.
Any day now.
This is good exposition. I like it. It's organic. Nice.
If Toranaga claimed you as an ally, you'll never leave Japan alive.
Whoa. I'm seeing now, though, like, not only is this about elements of, or parts of it are about Christianity and the type of Christianity and the history of Japan and its encounters with Christianity, but it's also about his own faith, whether or not he even believes Christianity and if God is real and can save him. That's so funny that, you know, these old stamps like this, Hanko, they still use them. Obviously, they were a lot bigger back then.
林の方は父がなくお産も栄和子も健やか。お世継ぎのお歳暮は江戸を離れる許しを得た。
虎長は女が定めを受け入れたようじゃな。
Is that the guy back there with leprosy? That's a rough disease, biblical disease.
片付けておきたいことがござる。異端者のことよ。虎長が大坂に招き入れた。あいにく。牢にいただけでは足りぬのじゃ。その異端者がマニラにおいてキリシタンの信徒をなぶり殺しにしたという感化的な話もござるよ。
So yeah, so we can see now the era of the hidden Christians is not yet started, but it's about to.
それがし今朝方目覚めると、虎長が我らをどう見ているのか分かったような気がいたした。官僚でござる。我らが正門に藩を押す間に、虎長は我らが作る掟を侮り、むしろ我らを貶めようと利用しようとしておるのじゃ。
He's smart too.
さてさて、オミラはパードルどもが積み上げる山ほどの献上品がなかったとしても、そのデウスとやらに忠誠を尽くされるのだろうか。
He's calling them on it. In the name of the Lord Jesus. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so he seems scared of him. I don't know if it's because of the disease or just his personality.
For centuries, his ancestors dominated this country, carrying with them a divine mandate, a title revered through the ages. The ultimate rank a mortal can achieve. Shogun, nothing for you to fear now. You'll die a martyr. On the cross, perhaps. Silk, gold, and guns. These Jesuits care nothing for the souls. They made an idol of that cursed black ship. But the church incited the rebellion. Smuggled guns from that secret base in Macau.
Macau. There were Japanese soldiers, hundreds of them, all converted to Catholicism. Are you telling me the Lords here don't know?
What an amazing recreation of an old Japanese village. Once again, I'm still just blown away by the production values of this.
I've had no word. As soon as Toranaga calls on me to permit the black ship to depart, he will be the first to know. The church is doing all it can to keep your business running on time.
You mean our business?
Even as far back as Jesus' disciples, as long as human beings are wrapped in flesh, this is what the Lord has to work with pouring his gospel into the world. There's gonna be corruption.
I must admit my surprise seeing you yesterday.
I do not wish to translate anymore. I do not like this man, the way he speaks to you.
You have always had good instincts about those with bad intentions. The dark thoughts you have confessed to me in the past. Are they still with you?
Dark thoughts.
I've read his journals. Whatever your heart tells you about him, he is guilty of worse.
Man, there's so much going on, it's hard to react fully. Whoa. Yeah, see, that could be taken in more than one way. He's really covering for him, huh?
残念だが、あの偉人の処刑はすでに再開しておる。キリシタン態度をお二方に押し切られたのよ。
じゃあ、お力になれるやもしれません。
The Blessed Virgin is watching over you now. Confess before me all sins past and present. Go with your godfather. あの男は何をしておる？一応今日。
Uh-oh. I sense an attack coming. Oh. Oh. Man. Okay. Uh-oh. Ah, I knew it. I knew it. Man. Dude is like, what is going on? Okay, I'm safe. They're dying. People that saved me are dying. Man. Thank you.
聞いたか。人間様の言葉を話しよう。こいつは賢いんだろ。
No, no, no.
俺は犬じゃ。そうだ。
No, no, no. Focus. But I have a feeling as time goes on, he's going to get better and better at Japanese, and they're going to have a higher respect for him.
この偉人をわしにくれるのはこたびで2度目じゃな。こやつが処刑場に引き立てられておる途中、盗賊に襲われておる。そこに図らずも拙者が通りかかった。
There we go. There we go. I mean, I'm starting to feel like I know how he feels. Right? Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, that happens so much in Japan.
I serve Yoshio Toranaga-sama. My name is Todamariko.
John, Black Swan. 若君にお前の国の話をせよと伝えよ。天下人のことを、習わしのこと。I know I am considered an enemy in your country, but I assure you, my queen is wise.
自分は敵ではないと申しておりまする。安仁様の国の女王は神話的でございますと。
おい。
My master asks for you to draw a map of the world.
Oh.
That's interesting. Because, you know, Japan, like I said, has been mostly isolated, right? Policies of keeping foreign influence out. There's a lot that they would not know about the world. So this is just eye-opening.
Japan, it's here. My country, England. It's on the other side of the world.
日の本を指し、次にイギリスを指しましてございまする。
Because we had to avoid Portuguese base in Macau. It employs Japanese mercenaries. I'm told you call them Ronin.
So Ronin, basically, which translates roughly to like wanderer, were samurai who were masterless. They didn't have any masters. That's what that means. The reason why Ronin were masterless is because samurai were expected, I think we talked about this in the last episode, samurai were expected to commit seppuku when their master died, right? And so there were many that did not want to do that, especially when the shogunate came like more into power again and the rules became much more rigid, right? Very strict for living in that feudal system as a samurai. And so a lot of samurai were just like, look, this is just too much for us. We're not going to deal with it. Now, one thing I did know I've heard in recent years is that if you're a salaryman in Japan, like, basic office worker, right, working for, a salary, they just call you salaryman, right? And you're unemployed, that's kind of like the modern term. They'll call you a ronin, or if you've graduated from high school, but you haven't, gotten into a university or college or anything yet, also slang ronin. But it's the same thing, right? It's the same honor, shame-based idea. It's not, you don't have to commit seppuku or anything like that, but the idea that you're not carrying out your obligation to society by following the path that you should as an upstanding citizen.
ポルトガルとスペインの2つの国は東洋の島々を分け合ったと信じているようでございます。日の本はポルトガル領だと申しております。
But yeah, this is also messing around with Christianity's presence there in Japan. This is dangerous. I mean, it may be true. It was. But at the same time, a lot of Japanese believed in the gospel that was preached.
This is a lie.
Yeah, see, this is affecting her faith.
Do you swear by your God?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, be careful what you say, man.
To vanquish our common enemies.
敵と戦うのに殿の力添えをいただくためと申しております。
See, she translated that a little different though.
己が勝てば望みはあると申しております。
I like this guy, Kokuchi. Now, it's interesting that not long after this story is supposed to take place, that the beginning of the hidden Christian era begins, right? Now, this is one of those morality tales where we see the consequences of when you take something that is supposed to be pure and that is supposed to be from heaven, like Christianity, and you begin to mix it with political aspirations and things like that. The people are the ones that suffer, especially in the missionary field. I mean, as a missionary, I'm so ashamed at some of the things that have happened in the name of Christ, because it's the Japanese people at this time that suffered, that were beheaded, that were boiled alive. I mean, it's all for, kingdoms playing chess in, over countries.
Is that his?
Ordered especially by Toranaga-sama after he saw it in a dream. Its star goes back many generations, all the way to the Minowara Shogun.
How long have you spoken Portuguese?
14 years, as long as I've been a Christian.
Speak very well. Thank you, but I've already paid. No, finished.
But that was some time ago.
Or two. 2 baths in a week.
Yeah, I've read stories about, Europeans that, in the past, people bathing, once a week, sometimes several times a month. And then, in Japan, though, cleanliness is very important. And that goes back to, some Buddhist teachings. If you visit shrines, if you visit, temples, the temples are Buddhist. If you visit temples in Japan, you have to wash your hands and pour some of the water in your mouth, gargle it. But some of the purification elements stem more from the indigenous religion of Shinto. The idea between both of them, Buddhism and Shinto, is the idea of being purified before entering someplace holy.
He's in danger.
He's in danger.
And I have a ship.
I would advise against speaking out of turn. You will please address me as Mariko-sama.
She is not playing around. But this is a step up for this dude.
黒船が長崎に向かって出港できないと、翌年の輸送に間に合わなくなると、異国に関わることを司る虎長様に、そろそろ出港の許可をいただきたくお願い申し上げまする。
わしは常に利益について考えておる。そっちの国と我が国の海が荒れるやもしれん。お主らの教会がこの辺りの海域に隠し砦を築いておるのもそれがゆえかもしれんの。
Is it the church is building it or his country? But I guess, this is why they assume that the the churches are doing it, because the country is using the churches for their benefit.
To ruin us slowly.
Let this be my burden, Father.
And we're going to have a night attack.
このような夜更けに何をしておる？
Uh-oh. Ninja? Shinobi? Kunoichi, female ninja. Dang, she's not playing. That's interesting because the common idea of ninja wearing the black outfits, that was not normal. They would actually, yeah.
No!
She's still going, man. This is a long death.
一同の仕業ではない。今宵わしは真珠を安心に貸してやった。わしは安心がいるはずの客間に身を隠しておったのじゃ。
Okay. She was there to kill him. Wow. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Ninja would often dress up like, the grass cutter, whoever's taking care of the house. Only on certain occasions would they wear the black like that. Well, guys, another great episode. That was Shogun episode 2, Servant of Two Masters. Yeah, now that I'm hearing that title again, I'm wondering, in this episode, we did see a splitting of Lady Mariko's, and not just her, but symbolizing, the Japanese Christians' mindset in this, enlightenment of this issue, right? Of the Portuguese and basically political motivations getting in the middle of corrupting the pure beliefs of Christianity, especially as these Japanese Christians are seeing. I can imagine how hurtful that would be to hear that, right? But yeah, man, it was a great episode. I feel like whereas the first episode dealt with transporting us to this time period and really helping us just unfold this world before us in its rich detail, this episode really started to go deep into what it means to have faith and belief in God, and how that is influenced and polluted by just the muck and the grit of the world that we live in, right? Yeah, struggle of faith. And it's something that we still deal with today, right? Even with what's going on in America, where the country seems to be split. Even Christian ideals are just split between two camps, not balanced as it should be. Yeah, that's what we see. And I keep going back to it, as I said, in the Gospels from the very beginnings of Christianity. These are the things that would make Jesus go off at long periods of time alone to pray to the Father. And there were times even where he would yell out, "You unbelieving, perverse generation, how long do I have to be here with you? How long do I have to suffer being in your presence?" Right? And he would get angry at times with his own disciples as they would fight over who would be first in the kingdom of God. And the Lord was just so annoyed by it and would tell them, like, if anyone wants to be first in the kingdom, they should be like a servant, right? Or bring this child to me. If anyone wants to be like, or enter the kingdom of God, let them be like this child, right? At the essence, very fundamentally different, the teaching of Christianity than the ways of the world that we live in. But when human beings get involved more and more, and they start to institute their own laws and their own agendas, it can sow, seeds of weeds in that pure earth that is supposed to be the teachings of the kingdom of God. And we see that as this show is showing greatly. The show is just really portraying this so well. And that goes back to the first episode where I was talking about the 26 martyrs of Japan. And I don't know even if I should go into it now, because I'm sure in another episode later I'll have ample chance to get into it. But I think that the actress, what is her name? Anna Sawai? She's Japanese, but I think she was raised somewhere else, or she was born somewhere else and she moved to Japan. That's as much as I read about her. I wanted to go in blind to this show, but she's doing a great job at showing the conflict and what that feels like when you're learning more and more about these particular people that have taught you something that is dear to your heart and faith, right? And then you learn about these corrupt political machinations, and it's just, I understand that, as a Christian and growing up as a Christian. And she portrayed that struggle very well. I enjoyed it. I can tell you, I was really happy to see John's, coming up in the world, going from sleeping in that rotten cell, waiting his death, to finally, sleeping in a nice tatami room. Even it didn't turn out so good for him, but I've been really feeling for him, And I think because also as a character, he's just so well constructed. I mean, I talked about this in the last episode. I watched a video of the actor who plays John Blackthorne speaking, and he talks completely differently, And I told this to somebody recently, and they said, well, that's what an actor does. I said, yeah, but not every actor does that, There's a lot of Tom Cruises out there. I love Tom Cruise. I think he's a good actor, but he plays a version of himself in every movie, just about every movie. Vampire Lestat in Interview with a Vampire, he was a little bit different in that. I give him some props for that. But he's mainly playing himself. But this guy, I feel like he really transformed himself into that character, or constructed a version of that character, what he saw, even down to his tone and how he speaks and his intonation and the type of British accent that he uses. Because in the interview with the actor, he spoke a different type of British, accent. So I really, really appreciate that. Okay, guys, that was it. So look, if you liked my reaction, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can give me a thumbs down. Getting better all the time. Come back next time. God bless you wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you again on the sofa.